Phil and Will are back. Survivor's at its final 10, and we just had Haley go last night, actually, because we're doing this pretty quickly. But this is going to be our predictions episode, and for final 10, not the easiest predictions, I don't think. The no-callers clearly look like they're on the outskirts, but other than that, I mean, a lot of stuff could happen here. There's a lot of potential for this is a good spot for some flips. By Tyler, Carolyn, Will. This would be the time to do it. Even Sierra, and normally Final 10 is not that number, so this could be good.
Yeah, if we look at our rankings last week, I think you had Dan at 2, and I had him at 4, I believe, and he was on the block heavily last night. And I think again, this is going to be anyone can really kind of just get picked and kind of go home anytime. I mean, Haley, we didn't even have all that low on our rankings. I think I had her at 8. You had her at 7, I believe. So, again, anything can really happen. Do you want to kick this one off with your number 1, Phil?
Yeah, I'm going to go with my number 1, and I'm going to go Mike, because last night he found the idol. He seems to actually still have – he might – other than maybe Joe, I think Mike might be the fan favorite right now. Like, if Joe goes, I think Mike's next in line in terms of fan favorite. He's been getting he's been being viewed very favorably on the show here. And with the idol and the way last night played out, he still has all the numbers and everything. I don't see him going this week. I don't see a huge blindside happening. I'd like to, but I don't think it's going to happen this week.
Yeah, Mike's edit is overwhelmingly positive for what he's kind of done. It seems everything. I'm not a Mike hater by any means. I mean, I've had to kind of argue against him for the MVP votes, and we can even get into that once we finish the rankings. But yeah, he's getting. I mean, that idol find was just we've never seen anything like that. Like there was tears, and then he talked about how hard he worked to find it, and then more tears, and this music, and I mean. I would agree. He's definitely one of the fan favorites because everything we see from him is good, pretty much. I mean, even if you want to look at the negative stuff we've seen from him early on, that was because he was trying to work too hard. He's too blue collar. He was bossy because he wanted things done, which isn't even that negative. So I think we're seeing just all positives from Mike. I do not have him at number 1. I have Carolyn at number 1 again, back to back, just because she's still in the middle, plain and simple. Or even if she's not in the middle, let's say she's completely 100% with the blue collars. She's not really a real blue collar. So if somehow no collar can get the numbers, and now no collar is really dwindling here. I'm talking about Shireen, Jen, and Joe pretty much. If they can somehow pull numbers, I feel like Carolyn won't be their target. They're going to want to get rid of a blue collar. And even if Carolyn is somehow the target, she has an idol that she's had for a while. I think she's, observant enough to sniff that out and play it if she really thinks she's in danger.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see if no collar does somehow get the numbers, they're going to have to target Mike or Dan or Rodney. I think Sierra would be kind of how it would help them get the numbers. I don't see why they would ever target Carolyn or Tyler because right now they could still flip back to them. And yeah, it seems like they're really in solid with the blue collars, but they could seriously just flip over to the other side, end up going with no collar, and still have some numbers there. I mean, they could still do it. I don't know if it's happening, but it could happen.
All right. No, that's why I think Carolyn is, and I'll just go right to my number 2. Again, I have Tyler. This is the same as last week. Carolyn 1, Tyler 2, just because Tyler doesn't have that idol and he is more of a physical threat. But he's playing a savvy game right now. He's staying quiet when he needs to. He's just gained Mike's trust in a huge way this last week by telling him the idol clue when he really didn't need to. He's still kind of in talks with Joe, so it's like he's in the middle, like I'm saying here. And Tyler, I would also be shocked to go home. So I have them 1 and 2, a repeat of last week.
Yeah, I have Tyler at 2, Carolyn at 3, because I mean Mike finding the idol and knowing that he would have a target on his back is why I have him at number 1, because I think he would realize, they're coming after me. I think he'd be able to feel it out enough. I don't think they're going to be able to get him with a huge blindside because I think he realizes that he is the number 1 target on that blue-collar tribe. Tyler and Carolyn, I got Tyler ahead of Carolyn just because I think if they do try to pull something here, it seems like Tyler's been more willing to listen. And I feel like Carolyn hasn't been as willing to listen. And I forget who it was, but somebody wasn't too big on Carolyn, but they were like they liked Tyler. I forget who it was, but
Shireen.
it was Shireen. Yeah. So maybe they try to pull in Tyler. I think Tyler and Carolyn are kind of like a really good power duo right now, but I don't see any of those three going this week. If the numbers get turned, it's not going to be on them.
Yeah, I have at number 3. I have Sierra, and if anyone's gonna flip or be in the middle out of all the blue collar people, it's her. We've already seen her like last night. I think she was on board with this ladies alliance, but she kind of was forced to vote Haley just because I don't think they ever got the numbers that they needed to. And why throw a vote?
Haley said she thought she definitely had Sierra on her side. She thought Sierra was a shoo-in.
I think Sierra was genuinely wanting to get Dan out, but I think they never could secure enough numbers. So Sierra said, "Look, I'm not just going to throw a vote at Dan if he's not going home. I have to, play my own game here. I have to make them think I'm still with them. So if anyone's going to flip or be in the middle, it's going to be, Carolyn, Tyler, and then Sierra. That's why I have them 1, 2, 3. And then if it's going to go predictable and a no caller goes home, those are fine. And if somehow the tables get turned, I think these 3 players are fine because they're not kind of the forefront players of that blue collar alliance.
And I got Sierra at 4 for pretty much everything you just said. She's the only one out of the blue collars right now. And by blue collars, I mean Dan, Rodney, and Mike, like the actual people who started on blue collar. She's the only one who would flip to the no collars. Dan's not going anywhere. Rodney's not. I don't think Rodney's going anywhere because Rodney thinks he's got that real tight thing with Carolyn, Will, and Tyler.
Rodney likes. He said he wants to go to 7, then flip.
Yeah, and that's a great plan by Rodney. The more I think about that plan, that's a really good plan.
And it sounds so great to Taylor. If you're tailing Tyler, you got to love that plan because then you're with Will and Rodney. I mean,
no reason to change it.
Right.
I mean, when do you think that's going to blow up? Because they've been playing up Rodney versus Mike for a long time now. Who's good? Like, when is that finally going to explode?
That's at 7. I mean, we can't really assume that it's going to go that smoothly for Rodney. But if things do go that way, it will be at 7. And then, Will probably have some decision to make if he really wants to go with this foursome. I don't know what Will's doing. We're not hearing much from him. He was almost invisible this week. So hard to say there.
I'm starting to think this week might be a little predictable, and then the next week at Final 9, we might finally get something with the whole Rodney-Mike thing because they might, like Tyler and Carolyn might realize the numbers and stuff. I mean, I'm thinking that this week might be a little bit easier. Granted, all the other weeks we thought were going to be really easy too, and they've been pretty much blindsides. I mean, Haley was kind of obvious, but I still would have put my money on Jen going before Haley. So,
or even Dan going right before Dribble.
Exactly.
I hear you for sure. And this advantage still could. Something's coming up with this advantage. We still don't know what it is, but it will enter the game. Hopefully this episode. If not, it's got to come. Okay. Yeah. At 4, I have Mike. Pretty much the stuff that you said when you had him. My only thing, I wouldn't have him at 1 because what if the editors are setting us up for this massive Mike blindside, and he has this idol. He's been shown so favorably, so positively. The editors know that people look into the edit. And I'm not saying I think this is going to happen. I just think this is a possibility, and it's why I have him a little bit lower. Because what would make the most exciting TV? You even said it. I would love to see Mike get blindsided. That would be amazing. I think if Mike does get blindsided here, it would kind of make sense why he's been built up so much. And he has this idol, and that idol find was so epic. I would love to see him not become a winner with this edit and have it be set up as a really big blindside, which would be cool. That's why I'm at 4. It's probably not going to happen, but just in case, so I can gain some points on you, I guess, that it does happen.
Hang on, I'm looking for somebody put a quote in our comments here. Hold on, I'm trying to find it. I don't know if I'm going to be able to in time. We'll probably end up reading it later and finding it. But it's just really relevant to this. Somebody had said, do you think that – it might not even been in our comments. I've been reading a lot about this stuff right now. But do you think that maybe they played up the Mike thing and they played up the no collar versus Mike, and now a no collar went, and then Mike goes this week, kind of like Josh versus Jeremy, and then somebody comes out of nowhere and has a really great post merge and ends up winning the whole thing.
Yeah.
I mean, is there anybody who stands out to you that could do that?
Oh yeah, certainly. Tyler and Carolyn are total like in the mix. Jen, Joe. I mean, we'll see what happens with this whole quitting thing with Jen, but Joe is definitely right there. We need to kind of hear more of him strategically if he really wants to be a horse, but it probably only takes one challenge for him to lose and then for him to get the boot. I mean, Sierra, Rodney even. I mean, Rodney, if he really implements this plan and sits next to Will in a final two, maybe like.
Yeah, I mean, Rodney's the ultimate. Like, he seems like he's the ultimate GOAT, but if his plan plays out, he has a really good argument for why he should win the game. Like, if his plan works, he has a really good argument for why he should win the game. And you said we're going to see what plays out with the whole Jen quit. They got the actual dialogue for, like, what was said in that thing. Her confessional, she says, "It's just not fun. People suck. I've got nothing out here except for despair." That seems like a typical Jen confessional. I don't feel like that's her saying, "I'm quitting, I'm throwing in the towel." The only reason that anybody really thought that is because right before that, Probe said a voiceover. He said, "And one survivor considers throwing in the towel." Her confessional doesn't scream to me. It doesn't say, "I want to quit."
Yeah, I know that that's a trick they do to lure people. I'm not thinking she quits, but if she vocalizes that to anyone like in the game, it's not good for her. And I don't know. Let's get back to the rankings here.
Yeah.
At 5, I have Will, just because I don't know where else to put him. I don't think he's on the bottom, but he's not in any power really. He kind of just, I don't know. We just don't hear enough from him. Could I see him going? Yeah, sure. I think there are more people that could go before him though. So I think 5 is a reasonable place to put Will.
I have Will at 5 as well, and you know the thing that's weird with Will is we heard a lot from him at the beginning, and he was a very positive force, and then he kind of started disappearing, and I think he's starting to get the whole "I'm hungry, I'm tired, I don't want to be here" type deal, where he's starting to become less positive, and they're getting a lot less great confessionals from him, because at the beginning he was funny. And I think that they're just getting a lot less from him, and because he's not really huge into the strategy, I don't feel like they're really trying to force him into the editing of the show. And, you know, I could see Will going this week too, but I could also see Will all of a sudden reemerging and getting a lot of confessionals because he ends up flipping back with Tyler or Carolyn maybe. Like, I don't know. I could see something happening with Will, but right now I don't know where he is.
Yeah, I mean, he's a long shot to win right now. It would have to take something, I don't know, pretty remarkable by him to get this W. Yeah, I think 5 is fine for him. I don't see him going this week. He could though.
My bottom 5 here, though, any one of these people could go this week.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah, we have the same bottom 5. So,
but like,
kick it off at 6.
This whole half of the cast, I feel like, is in some serious trouble this week, and there's a good reason for any of them to go. At 6, I have Dan. I know he almost went last time. They're playing him up like, you know, he's misogynistic and all that stuff. I don't really know what his whole deal is. I just don't think he understands the social game. I think he thinks that he's being funny, and he's actually just rubbing people really hard the wrong way. I mean, I could seriously see him just getting booted this week because they were just a week late on actually getting rid of him, and he just keeps annoying people. But I'm going to keep him at 6 because I do think that the no-collars are going to lose one this week. And if they don't, I think that it's going to be because Mike's like, "Hey, let's get rid of Rodney," or something along those lines. So I have Dan at 6. I'm not confident about him making it through this episode at all, though.
Yeah, Dan could easily go. We saw so much negative from him this last week, and I really thought he was going. At 6, I have I think Dan's in even more danger than you have him. I have Rodney at 6, just because he has the numbers right now. He doesn't really need to worry. If someone's gonna target the blue collars, they'll probably go after Mike, you would think. And even if he does have his idol, that gets played, and then the blue collars, whoever they vote for, which will be a no collar, then they'd go home. And then if there's no flipping at all, then a no collar goes home. So Mike would have to win immunity to allow Rodney to become the front runner boot here. And if Mike wins immunity, then that means Joe doesn't have immunity, and that means everyone is falling on top of Joe. So I think Rodney here is in a good spot. He could go because he is such a big, loud personality, and he's trying to work so many people. So I do see why he can go. That's why he's in my bottom 5. But 6 is where I have him.
You know what it is with Rodney? We keep on saying how they're playing up the whole Mike win thing, and it seems like he's going to win because they just keep on, here's Mike, he's the golden boy, he's always been positive, all this stuff.
It wasn't even they weren't even shoving it down our throats until like this week. I think it was like 3 weeks ago. That's why. Where I was like, wait a sec, Mike, everything we see from him is positive. And that's,
this is my thing with Rodney, and I don't have him. I have him a little bit lower than you, but my thing with Rodney is they've been showing him trying to work that 4 really well. And right now, Rodney has the best sub-alliance if Tyler and Carolyn really are on board. Because I think him and Will are solid. And if Tyler and Carolyn are really on board, he could easily get to the final 3 in this game. He has the best sub-alliance in a big alliance. He found the majority in a sub-alliance and took it. Now, also, though, last week Tyler goes and tells Mike pretty much exactly where the idol is. So maybe Tyler's more with Mike than we thought. But I mean, if Tyler and Carolyn,
I don't know. I think that was Tyler just keeping Mike close, kind of saying, "Look, I know I'm not one of your true blue collars, but I'm with you, man. This is what the idol clue said." I think that was he wanted to keep Mike wary of him. I think that's what that was about. I don't think they're all that close. I mean,
I know. I'm just saying, I could if Rodney's little plan here plays out, he could easily be in the Final 4. Him and Will could both be sitting in the Final 3, and I tweeted that last night, and somebody responded. I forget who it was. It was Rachel something. She's like, no. And I could easily see it happening. We might not want it to happen, but it could easily happen if this alliance really is a real thing.
Yeah, it could very well. If they get to 7 that cleanly, though, that would be the surprise. I think if they get to 7, that's what happens. I don't think they're going. Yeah, they're not going to get to 7 that easy, especially with this advantage coming up.
Yeah, I actually have at number 7. I have Jen, and the reason I have Jen at 7, you would think I'd think she was in more danger, but it seemed like they wanted to get rid of Shireen or Haley last week. So I'm thinking that they're going to target Shireen now before they target Jen. And the way that they're playing up that Jen might throw in the towel, Jen's not going to throw in the towel, and I think that's like a huge decoy. So I don't think Jen's going to go this week, but I have her at 7 just in case. But, I mean, now that they got rid of Haley, who was Jen's right-hand woman, I think Jen's all right this week.
Yeah, a lot of the whole when either Jen or Haley were on the block, it was like we need to split up this pair. Now that they're split up, it's certainly, not as important to get Jen out. And the decoy, it's I could see Jen going. It wouldn't surprise me. But like you said, whenever they tease something in the preview, it rarely pans out that they're the one. They're the one to go. So all right.
Especially in a season that's been this unpredictable, that would just be too obvious. I feel like
Yeah. So wait, Jen, you have Jen at 6. Is that what you said?
7. I had Dan at 6, Jen at 7.
Okay. At 7, I have Shireen, just because if Joe loses, I think Joe goes. If Joe wins, I still think they're targeting Jen over Shireen. That's just I know they were. Who wanted to do Shireen last time? It seemed kind of. I think it was Dan who wanted to do Shireen, and then Mike was like, "Wait, no, Haley, guys, come on, like Haley, she's." And then everyone listened to Mike. So I think Mike sees that Shireen is not a threat, not a physical threat. She annoys people, not a jury threat. And so if Mike has a lot of say in this alliance, which it seems like he does, he can say, guys, it's Jen, and then they'll fall into place.
Haley was saying on her, in a lot of her exit interviews, that Shireen was getting bullied by such a ridiculous amount that it was actually making Haley mad. Because she felt like once one person said something, all of a sudden, all of them just jumped all over her. And it was like, oh, Shireen's the most annoying thing ever. And it was almost like everybody was just bullying her. And Haley did not have anything good to say about Dan. She really could not stand Dan at all. And, it's kind of telling the people who are saying bad things about Shireen, yeah, I get that we saw that she was annoying. Sorry, there's a spider crawling across my floor right now. I'm distracted. But, I get that she's, super annoying. But like, I mean, they're playing it up obviously for the cameras, and they're trying to give us that storyline. I honestly think I wouldn't want to live with her, but I honestly think that them showing Dan saying she's annoying, that means nothing to me because Dan.
Right? No. But it's not just Dan. It is literally everybody, even Haley. Like even Haley, even Jen, even Will. I mean, there's no question about it. We've seen it just over and over and over again. This is not an editing trick. This is not a story being told. Shireen is an annoying person, and I think she's a better person than Dan. I think Dan is kind of a jerk, or at least from what we've been shown. Shireen is annoying, and there's no ifs, ands, buts, ors about it. Like, she's annoying.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, like, Shireen might be getting a little bit of.
I know you're just saying. I'm just disagreeing with you, like 100%. I don't think this is anything with a raw deal. This is not.
We've seen a lot of people say she's annoying, and like obviously it's probably ringing true. I mean, Joaquin couldn't stand her and all that stuff. But at the same time, if I'm on an island with you, there's going to be a point where I'm like, dude, you're so like I'm going to be confessional.
I
like
think
this guy's
everyone's annoying in their own way. I think Shireen's exceedingly. We see it. Like even her talking to Jeff about the puzzle, that was obnoxious. Her laugh when Max pulled the "Hey Jeff, wait up" thing, that was obnoxious. Her on reward getting so giddy and like rubbing it in other people's faces almost. I mean, that is infuriating. She's annoying to like no end.
I think she's just having a good time, to be honest.
Yeah, but in a really just obnoxious way.
But I'm going to be honest, like the reason I keep saying this is because Shireen is like growing on me a little bit as this season goes on. She really is. I'm starting to feel that whole Dan interaction.
I know, that was mean. I'm not saying that Dan has a right to. I'm not saying she deserves to be bullied, but I'm saying she is annoying. I don't care what you say. I'm not saying she deserves anything that she's receiving bullying wise, but she's still just. I mean, we're talking about this too long. I'm not changing my mind. I guess you're warming up to her. I understand she's kind of the victim here, but that doesn't mean she's not exceedingly annoying.
Yeah, but then at the same point, the reason why she got bullied, that's why I have her at 9 and not 7. So like that's my whole thing. So I'll run through my last 3. I got Rodney at 8, Shireen at 9, Joe at 10. I feel like Joe's such an easy 10 because if he doesn't win and they keep him around and give him another chance to win another one, this kid's proven he can do pretty much anything. And nobody out there is really that good at challenges, or that well-rounded at challenges. So when he loses, you got to get him out. Because that was the reason Colby Donaldson did so well back in Australia. He was up against nobody. And that's what's kind of happening with Joe right now because the challenges have evolved from just being strength to being a little bit of everything. And Joe can do a little bit of everything. Rodney, Mike, Dan, Shireen, Jen, do it. Yeah,
I have Joe at 10 too. If he loses, it's just a slam dunk that he goes. Even Jen, I think, wants him gone. There was a confessional with Jen talking about how she didn't get chosen to go on reward. She was pretty pissed about that. I don't think with Haley gone, I think Jen is kind of a free agent. I don't know if we're gonna hear that this week, but I think she's a free agent. I got Jen all the way at 10. I had Shireen at 7. I have Jen at 8. I have her at 8 just because the preview, I would have her at 9, but that preview just bumps her one up. And then Dan just fallen because of how negative of a week he had this week. And that blue collar have so many numbers. They might, people are going to start looking to make moves. And Dan he's irritating and he's not pleasant to be around. And he's kind of Mike's right-hand man. So if they know Mike has an idol, target Dan.
Yeah, it's very possible. The reason I have Shireen lower than Jen, I guess I kind of already said, is because I thought they were targeting her first. And
no, they targeted Haley first. I mean, if they were targeting Shireen first, Haley.
No, they targeted Shireen before Jen. They brought up Shireen's name before they brought up Jen's name.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only thing.
I don't think Jen's name ever came up. I think it was you have to go Jen or Haley, and then Shireen the other.
I agree with you on the whole Jen being a free agent thing because I don't think her and Joe were ever as tight as they made it out to be. I don't think Jen ever disliked Vince as much as it was made out to be. I think Vince just got a little paranoid and got rid of Jen, and ended up getting voted out. And I don't really think Jen ever disliked him that much. I feel like Jen and Haley were the tight bond, and Joe was kind of just their shield. So I could see her totally just being like, yeah, I'll vote with however you guys want, because she realizes it's a sinking ship. She has to get off.
Yeah, no, that's why I think she could easily stay around. I fear for Joe, of course, if he loses, and I fear for Dan as well. Anyone really in the bottom five, I fear for. Okay, those are the rankings. Do you want to get in? Let's just get into these comments. I don't know how many we have because we did this. We're doing this Thursday after the episode. So
I'll start on Twitter because we actually had it was 2 people, but we had a pretty decent amount. Sadie Holloway said she just watched and she was thinking that the advantage is going to be something up for sale at the auction. And I responded and said, yeah, we've kind of seen that before, though. We were hoping that it would affect the entire second half of the game. And she said, I agree, but I think that the auction at the right time can make a difference. It occurred to me that this may be where it happens. Do you think that they're going to wait all the way till the auction, or do you think they got to do it before then? Or do you think they do the auction maybe next episode?
This thing is not, maybe it comes up at the auction, but this is not like a one episode thing. From what I've heard, from what Jeff has said, he says this is something we've been playing with for a while. It's some sort of advantage, and it works out beautifully. And it's been talked about like a twist, as if this is going to change. It's not like a one episode off thing. We've seen advantages in auctions before. This is something we haven't seen before. Again, it's my whole prediction when I talked about this earlier, I thought it was going to have something to do with the votes. That's kind of fallen by the wayside the longer it takes to be introduced.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm thinking too. Because if it was really going to be something to do with votes, they would have probably introduced it right at the start of the individual portion of the game. Like you would think they would have. That's
what I was thinking, and now we're 2 episodes in and we haven't seen it. So could it appear at an auction? Yes. Do I think it's going to be a 1 episode deal? No, not at all. I think I still honestly think it has something to do with their new shelter. I think something's buried under there where they built their new shelter. That's too weird. That was too out of the blue to just take someone's shelter down for absolutely no reason. Like there's a reason, and I think it has to do with this advantage. So we'll see. There's still that compass on the immunity idol. We don't know what's going on with that. Those are my thoughts.
Yeah, and then Ravinder Sharma, who always tweets at us, he had a couple, but his last one was, what's the possibility of Joe, Jen, Shireen recruiting Sierra and Carolyn to blindside Mike and just having Tyler kind of throw his vote?
I'd love to see it.
You think they could? You think Carolyn would? I could see Sierra totally doing it. You think Carolyn would? I think Tyler has a better chance of going against Mike.
I think Carolyn and Tyler could both do it. I mean, they're smart players. They're aware of Mike's power. That could definitely happen. I'd love to see that happen.
I think that would make for the most entertaining season. I'm not Mike bashing here. I just think it would be super entertaining if Mike ended up getting blindsided like now.
Of course, yeah.
What do we see? And there's a lot of. You might not like all the people on this season, but there's a lot of great characters on this season. It'd be interesting to see who could come out on top when you've really heard from a little bit from everyone. It's not like everybody's just disappearing. I mean, Will's starting to vanish a little bit, but everybody's kind of getting their screen time, and it would be interesting to see somebody like Mike go and really just have no idea who's going next.
Okay. Do you have any more tweets?
That's it.
Okay, I'll read. We have a comment from Jimmy O. He said, I remember this quote, Jen, from one of the first episodes. I don't know why everyone takes this game so seriously. It seems that she just found out why. While Jen is good TV, I think she got way too arrogant for her own good. I don't know why she acted that she was in control in the beginning of the episode. You just got a majority of the votes. She just didn't do a good job this episode recovering from that. But if she's still going to be good TV, then I'm all for her staying for another tribal or 2. Jen has not had, we haven't really seen much strategy from Jen. She hasn't had, she had the one idol play, and that's about it. And I don't know if she was totally arrogant. I think she was just kind of happy with how that played out.
I think that was her way of saying, if I'm going to be on the chopping block and they're just going to try to pick us off, I'm just going to try to annoy them and make their life a living hell. I think that was pretty much what she was saying. I don't think she was kind of like, I'm going to be set. And like she said, now we're ready to win this. I think you're supposed to say that, and then I think she realized there's no way she's going to win it, and that's why she was like, I just really want to, I don't know exactly
Yeah,
what she
she's
said, but
one
I
of
think she
those. I
wants to
feel
know.
like she's playing that card where, yeah, I know I'm on the bottom. I'm
Nothing
just
to
so.
lose.
I think especially this episode, we're gonna see from Jen kind of say, "Oh, I'm on the bottom, whatever, blah blah blah. I'm disappointed. I'm bummed out. I'm a lost puppy wandering." But in the back of her head, she knows this is Survivor. Anything can happen. I'm still in the game. I have not been voted out yet. And let people think that you're down and out. It's a strategy we see all the time. I don't know if it works all the time, but it is a common strategy.
Well, it's worked before because going right into our next comment, Jenna Maraska won, and Sam Helberg said Jenna had scenes on Amazon that showed her talking about quitting, didn't she? And Justin Brizantine responded and said, yes, at Final Five in particular, she lost her will to play the game and pretty much expected her boot. She explained how sick she felt and was shown doing nothing at camp. That's why, if you listen to Cesternino's Amazon chapter, The Evolution of Strategy, he, Matt, and Butch voted Heidi out. They believed Jenna would be an easy boot at 4 or 3 while Heidi was still fighting for her life and still trying to strategize with Rob. And it's not so much a prediction, but we were saying last time that like quitters or people who talk about quitting never win. I mean, Jenna,
That's it. Yeah, that's the one. That was season 6, but
it's a long time ago. But that is a huge one.
And then they share 4 letters. Jen's whole name is in Jenna's name, so maybe there's something there. So that's at least that's. It's not like Jen is totally done with it, and we still have yet to see what happens with this. This could be totally a red herring that she never even considers quitting.
I mean,
like I said in the last podcast, maybe it's a little bit of gamesmanship where she's trying to, and like I just said, she's trying to make people think she's down and out when she's just totally playing the game.
Weren't the producers trying to convince us that Colby was going to quit during Heroes versus Villains? I don't really remember exactly how it went, but I know that they played him up like he was going to quit. And I remember at Final Five, I know it never played out to do anything, but he had that really cool confessional where he was like, I came back to camp, I told them, like, I'm done, I'm not going to strategize, all this stuff. And then he paused for like 10 seconds, and he was like, and then I got up, and so I felt like, I always feel like they try to make you think somebody's going to quit because it has become such a prevalent thing in the show. But I don't think that it's going to happen. I think that they just it's a good tease. It really is.
Yeah, and I don't see Jen doing it. She's too big of a fan, too big of a player this season. We often see quitters kind of get, like Purple Kelly. She was invisible, and that was probably because she quit, and that's kind of disrespectful to the game. And I know Nayanka quit that season, but you couldn't hide Nayanka. She was so loud. I think if Jen were to quit, we wouldn't have seen so much of her and so much positive, from her.
Because they could have easily left Jen out, especially if Jen, Joe, and Haley, none of them win. They could have easily left Jen out of the entire conversation. But
yeah, give more screen time to Haley or Joe. Easily could have done that. Okay. Edwin Hernandez says, I think Mike and Joe could be co-MVPs, but my vote is for Mike. If Joe had been shown strategizing at all during the reward or post-immunity challenge, I would give it to him. But like Phil said, Joe did nothing to benefit his game going forward, and one of his alliance members went home. Mike may not have had the correct reasoning for doing a couple of things, but at the end of the day, whether it's luck or anything else, it works for Mike. God Idol continues to have the numbers. Yeah, we don't know if Joe did try strategy. He could have. Maybe we just didn't see it. Like, Mike is getting everything positive. Joe is kind of falling. He's just shown as like a physical threat at this point, a challenge beast. I saw this confessional from Mike today, the secret one, and he said, Joe's the number 1 threat. I'm the number 2 threat. Once the number 1 threat goes home, then the number 2 threat goes home. So, and then he said, so my game plan is to vote Joe out and then go and win all the immunities. Literally word for word, his game plan is to win all the immunities after voting Joe out. Like, come on, Mike. He doesn't, like, he's getting such this positive edit and, like, I feel, and he has this numbers and the power. I just don't think he's that savvy of a player. I feel like they're showing him to be way more savvier than he actually is.
Yeah,
he's winning the MVP by. I mean, he's got the MVP locked up for this episode, even though Joe won 2 individual challenges.
We were gonna not announce who the MVP was this episode and just wait till next Wednesday. But I mean, it seems like Mike's running away with it anyway. Joe, I don't think he got a vote. He might have won.
Still vote.
Yeah, you can still vote. I mean, just keep voting for it. We're not going to announce it until next Wednesday. We're not just going to have it be a day thing. But My thing is with that comment, my only problem is they're not going to show everything. And if Joe goes home this week, they had no reason to show him strategizing and stuff because it didn't pan out. The thing with the thing that I think rings true as to why Mike should be the MVP is because one of Joe's alliance members. That's really what it comes.
Yeah, but that's just the number. I mean, I think Carolyn and Tyler sided with Blue because he's got Dan, he's got Rodney, two very aggressive, unlikable people. While if they went with no caller, you have Haley, Jen, and Joe. Who do you would rather be at the end with? You know, like
Yeah,
I don't think it's Mike getting these numbers. I think Mike has really fell into a lot of this, and this confessional. I'll put a link to it in the description where he says, my plan is to win all the immunities." Like that. There's a reason they didn't show that on TV. You know.
Yeah.
They don't want him to sound like an idiot, but I honestly think he's not that savvy of a player, and he very well might win. I think he's. I said it 3 weeks ago. I think he's going to win this game, and now it's even more apparent. Let's see. We have. Here's Carlos 87 AU. Why do recappers keep carrying on about the alleged winner's edit? How many times do you have to be wrong and stop talking about it? Have we been wrong? I think we.
I was wrong with Haley. But like, what are we?
I guess.
Are we supposed to just not mention who we think's got the edit to win? Should we just like not talk about it?
I mean, the term itself it's a little. I mean, I don't know. When we started doing this, I think it was episodes 11 and 12 of San Juan del Sur, and we said Natalie's going to win. She won. This is our first full season of doing it. I guess you had Haley for the last few weeks. I said Mike was looking really good 3 weeks ago, and now he's overwhelmingly getting such a positive edit that I think it rings even more true. So let me be wrong. This is like the first season we're doing. So let me be wrong before you start like hating, I guess is what I'm saying.
The thing with a winner's edit is like we call it a winner's edit, but it's really just the most positive edit right now. Like we're going to call it a winner's edit because that's easier. I don't feel like sitting here saying the most positive edit every time.
We don't really go really heavy into the edgic stuff. And when you do that, there are patterns, there are trends. You can't if you're going to sit there and say, okay, the editors have 72 hours to condense into 42 minutes. You're telling me that they're not going to build a story or a narrative or a tone for the player that wins the game?
Wait, hold on.
You're out of your damn mind. If you
Natalie White just called. She said no. Natalie White just called and said no.
Yeah, I mean...
That's the only one, though.
But she still really had a positive view, at least. And I don't know the whole things that there's so many patterns with Edgic, like per episode, what they do. And I'm not totally up to date on everything there. I do know how to look and see, okay, I've seen enough Survivor where a winner does kind of present itself. And like we're saying now, there are people that can't win this game. Dan cannot win this game. Will is really getting down there to the point where he can't win this game. I think Shireen is already there. She's just annoyed too many people.
Sierra's getting there.
Yeah, I mean, she could still, she'll, yeah. Especially when we didn't see her so much early on. But to say the alleged winner's edit, I mean, they like I said, 72 hours of footage down to 42 minutes. They're gonna edit it to tell a story, and you can look at things, and that can help you.
I mean, I don't pretend
to be an expert on it at all. I'm just saying the winner does get a specific edit, and it's not always the same. But right now, I think it's Mike, and it's not just from last episode. I said that I think 3 weeks ago. Like
Yeah, and I don't think it's so much that we talk too much about the edit as just who's getting confessionals and who we're seeing a lot of. And this season's been pretty good with it, where we've been seeing a lot of everyone up until Mike found that idol. I mean, that idol find was ridiculous. Like that was like the way they played that up. That was why we were screaming winners at it. I mean, until then, I thought Haley was a lock to at least make the final five. I'm shocked she went home last night. I really am.
Right. I was never that high. I mean, Haley is great. I wasn't like ever that really high. Okay.
I just thought she was getting confessional every week. She wasn't overbearing, and I was like, she's going to go to the final five. Like, there's a reason she's getting confessional every week. Clearly, I was wrong.
Right. Okay, Jamie Sleeper votes for Mike for MVP. That's fine. We've talked about that. Says as much as Rodney goes crazy from time to time, his move to try to make a foursome with Will, Carolyn, and Kelly, which may move to Tyler. I think that's true. It's probably the reason those players are sticking with blue collar. Let's not forget Carolyn. It goes on and on. I guess she then said I could see Mike turning into a Tony and start eliminating some of his own alliance to keep certain players around, since he has some protection with his idol.
Yeah, and he wants to know if we think that Rodney can keep it together long enough to even get to that point, and we both don't think it's going to happen.
I don't know if Rodney can be in together. I think there's 10 players left, so there's a lot of variables. It doesn't just take one person to say, this is my plan, that's going to happen. I think Rodney is able to do it. I just don't think everyone else is going to allow him to.
Yeah. All right, so then Jamie, or wait, let me see here. Christopher Doucette, Joe shouldn't worry about winning reward challenges. Don't put a bigger target on your back for something non-life or death. I mean, I don't think he really...
The threat is already so
prevalent
with Joe. There's no hiding it. And go to reward. You get to eat food.
Yeah.
That helps you win the immunity. I mean...
He needs to keep winning immunity, and the only way he's going to keep winning immunity is if he's, being nourished. So I don't mind him winning the rewards.
Not at all. It's out there. He's a challenge beast.
Yeah, and then Jamie Sleeper also said that this is something completely to the side, but with the All-Star season coming up, are we going to be talking about it, or are we not just going to wait till it's confirmed? We're just going to wait till it's confirmed, right?
Yeah, we're waiting for the official list to come out, and then we will do a ranking probably. We'll probably argue over players.
Yeah, because we're excited about that. So
we are excited. That is very cool. We will do a whole podcast on that once that stuff is official. Okay, so we have Immortal with the prediction. If they had anything strategic or shocking happen in the next episode, it would have been hinted at in the preview to create anticipation. Since the preview showed nothing but people falling down and a possible quit, and I think it's going to be a predictable boot, Joe loses immunity and gets voted out. I'm rooting for blue collar. Hopefully Mike is aware enough to blindside Tyler or Carolyn before they blindside him. The Joe prediction, that could very well be the case.
I think that's kind of what's going to happen, because they tried to give you the red herring with Jen, and then they just kind of showed people banging their heads.
Yeah, it does look that way. That's why we both have Joe at the bottom of our power rankings. It's not like he's going to win every immunity here on out. That would just be bananas. And we've never, one of these challenges, it's going to happen. So it could very well be this week. Do you want to read Sarah Christine?
She's just talking about how she voted for Mike to win MVP. Thinks he played the whole idol thing very well with getting Tyler to tell him, and the fact that he found it and didn't give up the search is commendable. I can see how you could put Joe at MVP, but he seems to win everything anyway, so there's nothing out of the ordinary. Also, Mike's only 38, not late 40s. One of us must have said that he was late 40s.
No, I always think he's so much older than he is. He's got that voice, and he looks older than 38, but 38.
But he doesn't look as old as Dan, who's only 7 or 8 years older than him. So there's that. And then Justin Brizantine, this is pretty much the last one. One idea he has about Mike's strategy. Do you think it's possible Mike told everyone that Joe has the idol, potentially keep him around, like he said in the scene before that? You guys said that is only placing a larger target on Joe, but couldn't it make Joe a little more untouchable to his alliance members for fear of an idol play and one of them going home like Kelly? This wasn't specifically stated on the show, obviously, but neither has a lot of strategy this season, such as your guys' assumption as Haley being the actual target last episode. I hope to hear what you think. I bought into this until you told me that Mike had a secret confessional where he wants Joe to go home.
I'll put it in the link in the description, and it's I think the 1 minute 7 second mark. He just says, "My plan is to get rid of Joe and win all the immunities." So
because what Justin says here makes complete sense.
No, this is what I'm saying. Mike is doing all these things all for the wrong reasons, and they all work out for him. That's kind of what I get from Joe, and I would really be disappointed if he won the game. Honestly, it wouldn't kill me. It wouldn't be great. We've had worse winners probably, but
we got to see what he does the rest of the game too.
He has a lot more time to build his resume. But so far, what I've seen is he's the leader of this powerful alliance with numbers, and he found an idol. Yes, I don't get much savviness out of him. And those are all the predictions. Thanks for watching. Do you have anything else, Phil? Do we got anything else to talk about here? I mean, it's kind of a short episode.
You guys are going to have to go a week without hearing our voices now, so pace yourselves when listening.
Yeah. Well, it's too late for that. This is, the very end of it.
Well, yeah, I know, but I'm just giving. Well, you guys can listen again if you want. But yeah, I mean, hopefully we get this advantage thing coming up soon, and hopefully something exciting happens because this has been a good season so far. So I'm just hoping for exciting.
That's been very true. Okay. Thank you for listening, and we will see you Wednesday after next week's episode.